My cousin Brent died in a head-on collision at 18 years old. He was driving to the movies on his first date with a girl he really liked. When the emergency crew showed up to the scene, they pulled out his wallet and noticed that he was an organ donor. Today, my purpose is to persuade you to become an organ donor and also inform you on why being an organ donor can be so beneficial to you and others. The main points I will be focusing on are the statistics about being an organ donor, the misconceptions people have about organ donating, the survival rate for those who get organ transplants, and how can you become an organ donor if you aren't currently one. By being an organ donor, Brent saved multiple lives from ages 12 to 53. A 12-year-old girl that was on the waiting list for 3 years for new kidneys received my cousin's kidneys. This little girl was suffering with cancer and could have died without Brent's kidneys. His heart was donated to a 23-year-old male. Brent's lungs were donated to a 32-year-old woman who was suffering from lung cancer. His spleen was donated to a 48-year-old male. Brent's liver was donated to a 15-year-old girl named Ashley who was on the waiting list for a year and a half. If Brent wouldn't have been an organ donor, these people may not be alive today. Now think about the lives you could save one day from being an organ donor. Think about the lives that could be saved every day if everyone were to become an organ donor. Statistics show that according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, every 10 minutes someone is added to the wait list. A quote that spoke to me from the Mayo Clinic stated that many families say that knowing their loved ones saved other lives helped them cope with their loss. Not only does age, condition of your organs, or gender matter, it's especially important to consider becoming an organ donor if you belong to an ethnic minority, because matching blood type isn't usually necessary for transplants, and the need for minority donor organs is especially high. As for misconceptions about organ donating, people between the ages of 18 to 35 during 2013, 28,954 people received organ transplants, and 1,983 were deceased from not receiving the organs that they needed. A myth is, I'm not in the best health, nobody would want to save my organs. Very few medical conditions automatically disqualify you from donating organs. The decision to use an organ is based on strict medical criteria. It may turn out that certain organs are not suitable for transplantation, but other organs and tissues may be fine. Don't disqualify yourself prematurely. Only medical professionals at the time of your death can determine whether your organs can be suitable for transplantation. Another misconception would be, some people believe that when you are an organ donor, hospitals don't work as hard to try to save your life if anything bad were to happen. This is a myth. The fact of the matter is, when you go to the hospital for treatment, doctors focus on saving your life, not someone else's. You'll be seen by a doctor whose specialty most closely matches your particular emergency. Now onto the survival rate for those who receive organ transplants. The survival rate after having an organ donated is very high. People that received a kidney, lung, heart, or liver in the past 5 years have had at least 50% chance of a survival rate. A kidney transplant is 82% of a survival rate being the highest, and the lowest survival rate for a lung transplant is 55.5%. On average, 79 people receive transplants daily, but 21 people die every day because there's a shortage of donations needed. On to my last point. If you or anyone else is interested in becoming an organ donor, you have many options in doing so. First, you can register with your state's donor registry. In the state of Maryland, over 2.6 million people have registered to be a tissue, organ, or eye donor. You can check the list on organdonor.gov. When people are on the wait list, you are allowed to register for multiple transplant centers. Second, you can register when you receive a driver's license. You can do this when you first obtain your license or when you renew your license. So if you don't sign up to be an organ donor when you first go to get your license, there's an easy way to change that if you've changed your mind. When I went to get my license, my mom was very skeptical of me being an organ donor because she didn't even like to think of the thought of something happening to me. She told me not to do it, but I told her if I could possibly save someone else's life after I'm gone, I know my life would have a purpose. I felt that this was the right thing to do, or in other words, from an article by John Brockentine, throughout my life, I've been blessed by opportunities to be able to reach my goals. Imagine that imagine what it would mean to say if you were the transplant someone needed, or to many, it may seem like a second chance at life. The final option you have, if interested, is to inform your family. Your family should know that you decided to make this decision to make sure that you are aware of your wishes regarding donation. If you wanted to become an organ donor but you are under the age of 18, you are too young to make that decision. That's true in a legal sense. But your parents can authorize this decision. You can express to your parents your wish to donate, and your parents can give their consent knowing that this is what you wanted. Children, too, are in need of organ transplants, and they usually need organs smaller than those an adult can provide. After hearing more information about organ donating, I hope I persuaded some or all of you to become an organ donor and better informed you on the process of it all. Keep in mind, organ donations are all about giving life that you can choose to give to help thousands of patients waiting for an organ or tissue transplant. Just think about if you could impact someone's life like Brent did, allowing a little girl to celebrate her 16th birthday, allowing a man to be able to meet the love of his life, allowing another man to be able to walk his daughter down the aisle, and allowing a young girl to become a young woman and attend college. Would you be more satisfied with your life if the last thing you did was help save someone else's while leaving yours?